Hey guys, thank you for coming to my channel. In this video, I'll be talking about comparative and superlative adjectives. So here's what I'll be discussing: positive adjectives, comparative adjectives, superlative adjectives, and rules and exceptions. So when I was learning about comparative and superlative adjectives, I kept on hearing like the term positive adjective, and I was like, what does that mean? And so it's basically just an adjective that's in its normal, unchanged form. Also, adjectives describe nouns. A noun is a person, place, or thing. So here are some adjectives: tall, skinny, short, rude, happy, cute, amazing, awesome, beautiful, weird, shiny, dramatic, disrespectful, energetic, and so on. As you can see, these are all words that describe nouns. So here's some adjectives and sentences. The first example says, the receptionist I spoke with was very rude. As you can see, rude is the adjective because it's describing the noun, which is the receptionist. Example 2 says, my best friend is amazing. As you can see, amazing is the adjective because it's describing my best friend, which is the noun. Example 3 says the flowers are beautiful. As you can see, beautiful is the adjective because it's describing the noun, which is flowers. So what is a comparative adjective? A comparative adjective is an adjective that refers to the greater or lesser degree of quality, formed by adding er to the adjective or placing more before the adjective. Here are some examples of comparative adjectives: uglier, taller, happier, prettier, safer, more amazing, more awesome, more successful, more dramatic, and so on. Comparative adjectives in sentences. So example 1 says, today I'm happier than I was yesterday. As you can see, happier is the comparative adjective. And later in the video, I'll also be discussing how to form comparative adjectives. Example 2 says she's more successful than the average person. As you can see, we added more before successful. Example 3 says I'm taller than all of my cousins. As you can see, taller is the comparative adjective. So what is a superlative adjective? And I'll also be discussing how to form these later on in the video. Superlative adjectives refer to the highest or lowest degree of quality. They compare two or more things. Formed by adding est to the adjective or placing most before the adjective. So here are some examples of superlative adjectives: ugliest, prettiest, happiest, safest, tallest, most amazing, most successful, most dramatic, most awesome, and so on. Superlative adjectives in sentences. So example 1 says, my sister is the most dramatic person I know. As you can see, dramatic is the adjective and we added most before the adjective. Example 2 says, out of all the girls, Sherry is the prettiest. As you can see, prettiest is the superlative adjective. We took away the y and added an iest. Example 3 says, out of all my mom's kids, my brother is the tallest. As you can see, tallest is the superlative adjective. Before we get into the rules of comparative and superlative adjectives, you'll need to know what a syllable is. Syllables are the small groups of sounds you hear when pronouncing words, and there will be examples in the next slide. Okay, so for syllables, example 1, happy has 2 syllables. So when you break happy into syllables, it's happy. So that's 2 parts of the word. So ha is 1 and p is 2, so 2 syllables. Example 2 is amazing. So when you break amazing into syllables, it's amazing. So that's 3 syllables. And example 3 is anticipated. And when you break anticipated into syllables, it's anticipated. So that makes 5 syllables. Okay, so now let's get into rules. Rule number 1 for adjectives with 1 syllable, and we're going to use mean, loud, and tall. So with comparative adjectives, we add er. So mean turns to meaner, loud turns to louder, and tall turns to taller. For superlative adjectives, we would add an est, so mean turns to meanest, loud turns to loudest, and tall turns to tallest. So rule number 2, for adjectives with one syllable that also end in E, like cute, wise, and rude. For comparative adjectives, we would just add an R, so cute turns to cuter, wise turns to wiser, and rude turns to ruder. For superlative adjectives, we would add an est, so cute turns to cutest, wise turns to wisest, and rude turns to rudest. For adjectives with one syllable that also have 3 letters, so the word has to start with a consonant, and the second letter has to be a vowel, and the last letter has to be a consonant. So the words I chose were big, fat, and hot because all of these things apply to these 3 words. Also, vowels are A, E, I, O, and U, and consonants are pretty much every letter of the alphabet that's not a vowel. So for comparative adjectives, we would double the last consonant and add an ER. So for the word big, we added a G, and then we added an ER at the end. Same thing for fatter, we added a T and then added an ER. And the same thing for hotter, we added a T at the end and added an ER. For superlative adjectives, we would just add an EST at the end, so big turns to biggest, fat turns to fattest, and hot turns to hottest. For adjectives that have 2 syllables and also end in Y, like happy, lazy, and crazy. For comparative adjectives, we will remove the Y and add IER. So happy, we will remove the Y and then we add IER, so happier. For lazy, we will remove the Y and add IER, so that turns to lazier. And then for crazy, we will remove the Y and add IER, and that turns to crazier. For superlative adjectives, we will remove the Y and add IEST. So happy, we would take out the Y and add an IEST, turns to happiest. Lazy, we would take out the Y, add an IEST, turns to laziest. Crazy, we would take out the Y, add an IEST, so it turns to craziest. For adjectives with 2 or more syllables, like amazing, fantastic, and disrespectful. For comparative adjectives, we will put more before the adjective, so more amazing, more fantastic, and more disrespectful. For superlative adjectives, we will put the most before the adjective, so the most amazing, the most fantastic, and so on. Common exceptions. So the first one is good. As a comparative adjective, it would turn to better, and as a superlative adjective, it would say the best. So bad as a comparative adjective would turn to worse, and as a superlative adjective, it would say the worst. And there are more exceptions. This is just to name a couple of them. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you found this video informative. If you did find this video informative, please feel free to like, comment, or subscribe, or all of the above, and I'll see you next time.